Over 100,000 people recently watched the best Apex Legends competitors that North America has to offer murder each other in what was objectively a hype as hell series of tournaments. This highlights the fact that after a year plus of slowly building momentum, Apex Legends is having a moment within the wider landscape of esports. The only question now is, where does it go from here? Smash those buttons, slam your keyboard off your desk until the dinging noises start happening, and you're subscribed to the channel for the rest of your life. And if there's a story you want to see here on Don't At Me, send a tip to tips@thescore.com. Originally announced in December of 2019, the Apex Legends Global Series, or the ALGS, has quietly become a big part of the game's growth over the last 8 months or so. And the ALGS championship tournaments that wrapped up this past weekend showed that from multiple perspectives. From big name teams like TSM and Cloud9 to underdogs like Nessie in Europe or Kungara NA, better known as Bottom 20 in North America, the games were fast-paced and full of exciting showdowns, fueled by a prize pool of $690,000 per region. Well, at least for NA and EU. And although they weren't crowned the kings of NA, TSM, and specifically TSM Snipedown, gave us one of the nuttiest plays in all of Apex Legends history. Respawning late game with nothing more than his heirloom hatchet, Snipedown wiped the competition, gave TSM match point, and forced a game 5.
Down Capstick! Oh my god.
Here's the clip from pro player Nicewig's perspective. He was calling the tournament for his chat. His reaction is pure f***ing gold, honestly.
How with insane shots, more teams behind them, as most of them are going to be alive. Snipedown is still up as well. How with the kill. Snipedown slaying shit with the hacks.
Play me.
And TSM still alive somehow. Snipedown going down, Rep survive, they get the top 3. And Scissors with more kill on the Kagurna. Rep still alive, and they get the win. Oh my god, what the and they get the W.
Now, the ALGS used a match point system for the finals, with teams accruing points through placements and kills match over match, with the whole goal of getting 50 points, which would then trigger match point for that team. By the time we got around to what would be the 9th and final game, almost 6 hours into the broadcast, 8 separate teams were sitting on match point, which made for an incredibly brutal and nail-biting finish. In the end, it wasn't a well-known roster like TSM, Cloud9, or Sentinels that took home the championship. No, it was an underdog team commonly known as Bottom 20 that shocked everyone.
It's a game of peekaboo, and it looks like the move has been made now from Renegades to move in. They will be able to reset here, but no! Here comes Bottom 20! What a story it would be! It's all down to Pow Pow! Can he get it done for Renegades? Bottom 20 will be the champions!
Like, prior to this win, Bottom 20's best placement at an Apex official event was a 5th place finish at an online tournament a year and a half ago. But because of the tournament's open qualifier structure, these recently orgless dudes were able to walk away with the North American Championship. Seriously, Kungara NA announced that they had picked up the trio on June 2nd, just days before the finals started. Now, I talked to Fallout, who was on hand casting the event, and here's what he had to say about calling such a ridiculous finals.
You thought that we were going to see the opposite end of the spectrum of history being made, with TSM maybe winning in 4 games or 5 games because they qualified, they got to match points so quickly. Instead, we saw the opposite. We saw the largest and longest series since Poland. Poland went to 11 games. We went to 9 games, and every single game, every single moment, I casted game 8 with Rain Day, where we had 2 teams that were on match point. The one team was Sentinels that didn't, and they played spoiler for everyone else. That is just one of a kind hype.
By using an open qualifier format coupled with an unusual point system, not only were most games extremely dramatic, but they allowed no-name teams to compete, which then created exciting as shit storylines. Everywhere you looked over the weekend, people were stoked on the NA tournament and Europe's before it. CSGO fanatics, Valorant nerds, you name it. It felt like esports had its eyes glued on Apex's insane level of competition. Imperial Hal, an Apex streamer and pro player signed to TSM, streamed his player POV to 80,000 people, while the official Play Apex Twitch channel topped out at almost 70,000 viewers for the finals on Sunday. That's not bad for what some were calling a dead game not too long ago. Here's what Fallout had to say when I asked him about why he thinks the ALGS popped off the way that it did.
So I don't think people realize how much Apex has been growing over the last 6 to 8 months. Our top streamers have gone from 5 to 10,000 concurrent average viewers to 30 to 40,000, and you've just seen an amazing amount of success. That's translated to competitive Apex, because a lot of our top streamers are also pro players. So every single online tournament from the winter circuit, from the autumn circuit onwards, saw growth. So I think that's a big part of it. 2, Apex in the launch it had was a massive immediate success. I think the first week, they hit 1 million unique players within a couple of days. So most people have either played or touched or experienced Apex at some point over the last 2 years. So when they started hearing this chatter of ALGS championships, the $2.5 million prize pool, the match point format, how much was at stake, I think it was really easy for a lot of players to go back and oh yeah, dude, I freaking love that. I love that game, and I played, a little while ago.
Now, let's talk about how we got to this point, because Apex wasn't always riding this wave. After Apex dropped to some incredible excitement back in February of 2019, reality quickly caught up. See, when it first launched, it wasn't that Apex was a bad game, it just hadn't found its identity yet. It borrowed from a lot of different first-person shooters and tried to bring in those same audiences. So the sentiment that emerged was that while fun and visually distinct, Apex felt like an amalgamation of a bunch of other games instead of its own unique thing. As its popularity started to slip, the audience that was engaged started asking for specific changes to hopefully make the game better. And wouldn't you know it, developer Respawn did the ingenious thing of actually listening to its player base and making smart changes that its audience was mostly happy with. I mean, you can't please everybody. From quality of life changes to overhauling the balance of certain weapons and legends to a brand new map to addressing the game's massive cheating problem head on, Respawn has been remarkably tuned in to what its audience wants, even if it doesn't move at the pace of, say, Fortnite. And according to Fallout, it's this careful and methodical approach that has, in part, gotten Apex to where it's at now.
Every studio touts we are community obsessed, player obsessed. Respawn as a studio, literally since day one of their founding, of course, a lot of the folks that came from Infinity Ward originally have been so kind of player focused, player obsessed, and that stays true for Apex. They respond to feedback so quickly. They're so agile in their development. I think the way that Respawn's structured and the way that they push out updates, hot fixes, and really listen to the community was a huge part of the game's success. And once community members saw how much Respawn was adapting to feedback and taking feedback and making these changes, I think it just drew more and more people in and more streamers to want to play the game and the like.
Speaking about the community, the ALGS was partly crowdfunded. Similar to Dota, when you bought certain cosmetics, a portion of that money went to the ALGS prize pool. And I think that this model, while still a capitalistic business decision made by a giant corporate entity, provides a sense of ownership to the Apex community, that they somehow helped make this all happen. According to EA, because of this crowdfunding, the ALGS Championship prize pool was doubled from its original $1 million pot to $2,580,590. According to Fallout, another major factor for Apex's growth over the last 8-ish months is its content creator community, with so many of its top streamers also being pro players. And Apex has leaned into this hybrid quality by allowing these pro players to also co-stream their perspectives during big tournaments or just have watch parties with their audiences. While co-streaming has slowly been adopted in Valorant and even more slowly in CSGO, for example, it's hard to see this as anything other than a big reason why the ALGS has picked up the viewership that it has. Sure, there's reasons that tournament organizers are hesitant about co-streaming, the loss of eyeballs and potential advertising dollars being a big one, but the reality is, this might be the new reality for esports moving forward. Views are views, whether they're coming from Shroud hosting a watch party or from the official Play Apex stream. As long as they're watching your game and your production, what else matters? Now, on top of all this, Apex saw a pop with the announcement of Arenas, a 3v3 round-based game mode that was announced back in May. By stripping away the more plotting battle royale elements of the game and introducing an economy, Arenas strikes a balance between CSGO's tactical thoughtfulness and Apex's fast-paced insanity, and honestly, people f***ing love it.
Arena's so fun.
All of this combined, all of these tiny decisions made over months of tweaking and changing the game based on community feedback, culminated in a big moment for Apex and its esports future over the weekend. While the ALGS has wrapped for now and nothing new has been announced, Fallout thinks that we'll be hearing something pretty interesting sometime soon. And for the sake of building off its well-earned momentum, I really hope Apex continues to do cool shit like this.
The way that they adapted with COVID to create this match point format, this structure, this online tournament structure was brilliant. Something tells me we're going to see something really, really cool in the next rendition. We don't know what it is yet, but I'm excited for it. I mean, who knows what the future is for competitive Apex? I don't know, but I'm excited to see what it is because I know that the competitive gaming team at EA is cooking up something great.
I had a piece of paper that I wrote "help me" on, and that was going to be the we help. Help me. Yeah, help me. There we go. And but then I turned it into a paper airplane for the gag this morning. Yeah, I just had paper lying around where I wrote "help me" and it's like tacked to my wall, you know? No. I don't know, Colten. Make me look like an idiot in the end board. We got plenty of things to work with, you know?